Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to the Extra Mile. My name is Gene Gurkoff, and I'm here with my hype man, the mighty Max Gurkoff, who's looking all cute and snugly bundled up in his stroller. And it is a beautiful Thursday morning in November here in New York City. Crisp blue sky, and it is Thanksgiving morning. And boy, do we have a lot to be grateful for. One of the things that I am grateful for is an experience that I had just a couple weeks ago when I ran the New York City Marathon with an incredible young woman, Justine Galloway, who ran the entire race backwards. Yes, backwards. You'll hear why she runs backwards in this interview, but I would just like to say that this was one of the coolest experiences that I have ever had, because for 26.2 miles, just over 6 hours, I was literally face to face with Justine as we were running. I don't think I've ever looked at anybody, including my wife, for 6 hours, and I got to see every emotion come across her face. Excitement, nervousness, the first beads of sweat, achievement when we passed each mile, happiness when the crowd would cheer her on, pain, fear, doubt, and of course, grit and glory. Huge thanks to Justine for sharing this experience with me. The interview that you're about to hear takes place on Staten Island, morning of the marathon, less than an hour before we started running. Before we get into it, though, it is Thanksgiving, and I do want to say thanks to our partners at Blueprint for Athletes. Many of you have seen them in the app, and they don't know that I'm saying this. I'm going a little rogue here, but they have been amazing to work with. You all know that we strive every day at Charity Miles to partner with mission-driven businesses that want to help us live healthy and make an impact. Blueprint for Athletes is a perfect example, and they're also a perfect example of how, when I started Charity Miles, it was because I wanted to be sponsored like a professional athlete, but as just like a regular amateur runner from New Jersey, there was no way I was going to be sponsored like a professional athlete. And I figured if we could get enough people together, then collectively we'd have the clout of a professional athlete. And so not only is Blueprint for Athletes sponsoring us like a professional athlete, but they are literally a service that was born out of what they do for professional athletes. So they're part of Quest Diagnostics, which, as you know, does blood tests for all sorts of things. Like whenever you need to get a blood test done at the doctor, you probably go to Quest. And they were doing, Blueprint for Athletes was born as something for professional athletes, so that professional athletes could get their blood tested so that they could know what was going on inside their bodies and optimize their training and their diets so that they could perform at the very highest levels. And then Blueprint decided that they could offer that service, same service that they offer to professional athletes, to regular folks like you and me, so that we could understand what's going on inside our bodies and optimize our own training and diet so that we could perform at our highest potential. And I just think that is so cool. And it's super helpful. So let me give you an example. In the marathon that I've just trained for, I have to say over the past year, I put on a few pounds. Being a new dad and with Charity Miles, I haven't been running as much as I should, and eating as well as I should. And I put on some weight. And in training for this marathon, I wanted to take that weight off because I didn't want to carry it all around for 26.2 miles. And even though I was training and eating well, the weight wasn't coming off like it usually has in the past. And understanding what was going on inside my body with some of the knowledge that I was able to get from these types of tests really helped me make some tweaks to not my training so much, but the amount of rest that I would get, because it turned out that I had high cortisol, and cortisol is a hormone that affects many things in our bodies, including our metabolism, our blood sugar, and exercise, particularly impactful exercise like running, can increase our cortisol, which is natural, but sometimes our cortisol can get too high and actually work against all the hard work that I was doing or that we're doing. So understanding where that is was able to help me actually prioritize some rest and in order to bring that cortisol down, and that made a huge difference in my training. So I just think that is really cool, and I think that the tests that they have 7 different types of stacks, they call them. Their stacks are what they call their tests that can help us understand our nutrition, our endurance, our strength, our metabolism, and I just think it's so cool to be partnering with them. It's literally like being a professional athlete. So very grateful to them. Also want to say that I'm very, very grateful to my team here at Charity Miles. We have made some incredible improvements to the app lately. If you don't have the latest update, make sure you get it, because it is looking hot, and our team has worked incredibly hard this year to make that happen. And I just know that they put their heart into it every day, and I am just grateful for all the love and hard work that they put in the app at Charity Miles. And of course, I am grateful to all of you for joining us each and every day. So now let's turn up the volume and turn on your charity miles and come along for the walk or the run. Maybe do a little bit of it backwards, but be careful with me and Justine Galloway. Every mile matters. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Extra Mile. It is Sunday, November 5th,
Yay!
2017, and I am at the center of the universe today, Fort Wadsworth, Staten Island, New York City, morning of the New York City Marathon, and I am with my friend Justine Galloway, and we are going to be running the New York City Marathon together. Justine, how are you doing?
Good. Nervous, super nervous, but super excited. So a little bit of both.
All right. So I'm going to be running with Justine today, and Justine has an incredible story, and I'm super honored to have this opportunity to run with you today, Justine.
Yay, me too. Thank you for running with me.
And this is actually the first Extra Mile podcast that I am not walking or running while recording. We are actually sitting right now because we are about to run 26.2 miles.
Yes.
But hopefully all of you out there maybe walking or running while listening to this podcast. So you also might hear a lot of noise in the background. There's some speakers blaring instructions in many languages. There's people milling about, lots of runners stretching out on the ground. Just see if you could paint a picture for everybody for where we are right now. What do things look like?
Well, it's amazing. So there's tons of people from all different countries. We're actually in the Achilles tent, and so there's amazing athletes who are doing this on bikes and just all different types of people. So just an amazing scene as always, and the people are alive, the city's alive, and everyone's just ready to go.
And this is not your first New York City Marathon, is it?
No, so this will be my 5th New York City Marathon, but my first backwards.
Okay, well, you just jumped the gun.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. So this is my 5th New York City Marathon.
5th New York City Marathon, and what she said is that it's her first marathon running backwards. So Justine will be running today. She'll be running this New York City Marathon backwards, and I will be running with her, trying to keep her out of trouble, trying to make sure that she's going in the right direction and not tripping over anything or running into people or things like that. So we were introduced by the Michael J. Fox Foundation. You're running for the Michael J. Fox Foundation today.
Yes.
So can you tell us how you came to the Michael J. Fox Foundation?
Yes. So my dad got Parkinson's when I was about 7.
Okay.
And then probably progressed pretty bad when I was about 10. But my dad was a runner, so when he got Parkinson's, running was kind of taken away from him. And I was little, so I kind of watched it happen. And I was in and out of the hospital a lot with him. It was funny, every time I pass Columbia Presbyterian, I have to point it out because I remember going there a lot. And so Michael J. Fox has changed. We saw it with Michael J. Fox and Muhammad Ali. They just brought so much light to Parkinson's disease, which is great because I think before that it doesn't get the light it deserved or the impact it deserved. So he had it for, I want to say, over 20 years. He got the deep brain stimulation, all that stuff, the electrodes in his head, and he passed away right before he turned 70, so right before I turned 30.
How many years ago was that?
7 years ago. And when he passed away, one of my dad's only wishes was that his brain be donated to Columbia Presbyterian. So we did do that. And then we gave money to Michael J. Fox organization and donated to the Michael J. Fox cause. But we joked around that he'd always lived longer than all of us. So his death was kind of a surprise. But I think he had suffered for such a long time that as much as it's a surprise, and we're still, I think anyone who says someone died with Parkinson's, they question it, because you don't die with Parkinson's. So as much as we questioned it, we wanted to get his brain to Columbia Presbyterian. And so in order to do that, you have to sign off the death certificate. So we did that, and we got his brain donated. But I still, anyway, that's how my dad passed, and
You came into the Michael J. Fox study.
how we came into the Michael J. Fox. We've always been, having a dad, growing up with it from late 80s to the 90s, Michael J. Fox was a big part of that.
Yeah.
So I think it was important, his movement and just having those people in the limelight.
And that doesn't really explain why you're running backwards, though.
No.
So why don't we tell people a little bit about your story? And you used to be a runner. You
Yeah.
are still a runner, but you ran in college. You were a competitive runner.
Yeah, so I ran my whole life. I ran with my dad. Like I said, he ran New York City Marathon in 82, 83, and 85.
Before it was cool.
Before it was cool, when it was $25 to run. So I would always run the last block with him on his training runs and try to beat him. And I felt good about it, even though he just ran like 20 miles. So I always grew up running. And then when my dad got Parkinson's, one of the things that he wasn't able to do was run. He ran, I was just talking to my mom about this yesterday, he ran Marine Corps, I guess, when I was 10 with Parkinson's and had a hard time with that. So that was kind of his last race. But so I always thought I'd run. I never thought I'd give up running because especially when he passed, it kind of connected me to him. And then about a year after he passed, I took a fall, and I'm not sure if that's related to it or why. But I started having problems with my left leg, and so I started going out wide, and I didn't know what was wrong. And I'd always run pretty fast, so I ran for Rutgers. And
ran D1, collegiate.
Yeah, I walked onto the team, and I barely made it, but I made the team. So, and then since then, I ran 9 marathons, including Boston twice.
And what's your fastest marathon time?
3:16 and change.
Lights out. She's got some gas in that tank.
Yeah. So that was my time, and then
What year was that?
I think it was 2009. It was New York. I PR'd here.
Amazing.
So it was really cool, and then so then I lost my dad like right before I turned 30, and then I started having this issue running, probably like a year later. And I went to all these doctors because I had knee problems before where I dislocated my knee, and this wasn't like those problems. Like my, I couldn't fix it. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't fix it. I could fix every other issue I had. I've had bursitis and all the other things, but this one I couldn't figure it out. So I spent about 2 years going to all different types of doctors. It eventually started affecting my walking a lot. So I went to a physical therapist in New Jersey who was amazing, and he'd have me go on a treadmill and run backwards, forward, and sideways. And whenever I turned on the treadmill to run forward, I would cry, and he would yell at me, but I just couldn't get through it. And so I got
trouble running forwards.
Yeah. And it was after a little while. It was like after 800 meters or 1,200 meters. I even tore a hole in the bottom of my shoe, my left shoe, all the way. And I'd ran maybe 20 miles in them. So I went to every doctor. I got told everything from see a psychologist to MS to that was it. It's like MS. And then one guy told me to tape my knee. And then I went to this. We drove pretty far.
Do what?
Tape my knee.
Tape your knee.
And then
just tape it up.
Yeah. And then we went to this one.
A gym coach?
I don't know. And then I guess a physiatrist said MS, and I went to a funerologist in New York. And then I found my walking became better. So as I went to my physical therapy, walking became better. And the only time I can really feel it is if I'm walking fast for long distances. For a long amount of time, my left leg just doesn't want to listen to my brain. I just have to be more proactive of telling my left leg to touch the ground, lift up, touch the ground. So it's just noticeable, which you never notice like walking. So anyway, so I finally, after going to several different doctors and being told different things, I went to this really great orthopedist all the way in Connecticut, somewhere by Yukon, and he watched me, and I had to take a videotape of me running because you can't really see it when I'm just walking. And he was the one, he was like this great orthopedist, and he goes, I don't know what this is, but it's neurological, it's not orthopedic. And because it came from such a good guy, I kind of just, I took that as to be true. And then I went back to this resident who was working with a neurologist, and he goes, well, maybe you have dyskinesia or early onset Parkinson's. And of course, having a dad with Parkinson's, that's probably the worst news you want to hear. So then after that, he gave me levodopa, I think, and anti-seizure drugs. And I tried it for a week or 2 weeks. And because of my dad's experience, I didn't want to be on it, so I got off it. And then I started up looking runner's dyskinesia, and I found something called runner's dystonia. And so I brought in the case study to my neurologist, and he goes, yeah, this is what you have. And so after 2 years of trying to figure out what I had, I finally had a name to put with what I was feeling, which felt good to finally know what it was. Sorry.
So how many years ago was that?
About 6 years ago. Yeah.
So you have a disorder called runner's dystonia, and what does this disorder do?
So when I run like 800, if I run 1,200 meters or so, my left leg starts flailing out, and it doesn't come down to the ground as quickly as my right leg. And so I start like kind of tripping on it, and it doesn't look good. And then eventually I start feeling pain because I'm overcompensating, but my left leg just doesn't listen to my brain. It's kind of like drop foot or like one of those, or like they went through all those disorders first, but it just doesn't listen to my brain. So I'm okay doing like trail running. I'm better at trail running, and I can run upstairs. Like I did Empire State Building, and so if I can confuse my brain enough, I can run. But if I have to, like I used to be able to just go out for a run any day, and now I don't get that same feeling. Like running forward, it just isn't easy. My left leg doesn't know what it's doing.
And so running backwards is a way to confuse your brain?
Yeah, so it seems like it. I'm able to run backwards for longer distances. It's just hard on my body because we're not supposed to meant to run backwards, but I can confuse my brain and I can run backwards. So, and I didn't think I was going to run. Again, I took up swimming and biking, but I just missed running too much, so now I'm running backwards.
And what other types of races have you run backwards?
So I ran 4 half marathons. I ran Rock and Roll San Diego twice. I ran Silver Strand once, and I ran Carlsbad half marathon once. So
and I'm not going to steal your thunder, but did you set any records out there?
Yeah, so my first half, it's funny, I was just Googling Guinness World Records just as a jokester, like a joke, because one of my friends who also has runner's dystonia looked at it for shorter distances. So I looked at it in the half marathon time, and I thought I could get it. So I told my brother that I thought I could get it. And so the first year we ran together, to get into Guinness, you have to have it entirely taped. So his GoPro ran out of batteries. But then, and I wasn't feeling good, I had injuries, but I broke it then. But it didn't count. And then the second year, my sister, my brother, and my boyfriend all ran with me, and we broke it. And so we ran a 2:40. I ran a 2:46, and the record was a 2:49. So we broke it. So I had the Guinness World Record. I since then have broken that time. I think my fastest time is like a 2:36 or 2:37. But the Guinness World Record just got broken by someone in the UK with a 2:27. So, but that's not why I was doing it. So I'm just happy to be running again.
It's amazing. And so this is your first full marathon backwards in New York City.
Yes.
And what are you feeling this morning?
Nervous and anxious. I'm hoping I can do the whole thing backwards. I've done 21, so I'm hopeful I can do it. but I started doing this just because I love running and I wanted to run, and it's had all these side effects. Like, there's a lot of people who seem motivated by it, which is really cool and wasn't my intention. My intention was just to run because I loved it. But it's an awesome thing that came along with it. So my goal is to finish completely backwards. I don't want to run. I don't want to walk forward. I know I can, but I want to try to run the whole thing backwards and not get in my head and just stay strong.
Do you still feel like you have like the kind of competitive spirit from like when you were in college and running 316 marathons?
And it's hard seeing people who are fast. Because I know I used to be that fast, not that fast, but I know I used to be able to run faster times. And so, I'm in a running club now, and I love them, and they're great people, and it's, but they the people who run fast, I see them, and it's just a different, they're like, I don't know, it's just different. But the great thing is I've met so many people who run for different reasons. Like when I used to run fast, it was a lot about our times. And now it's people come out for all different reasons and just to complete it. And so, it's been amazing to meet people who are running for different reasons other than just to meet their past time. So,
And we were at the Team Fox dinner last night, which is always one of my favorite nights of the year.
Yeah.
And so many people running for Team Fox. It's a very special organization to me. As you know, my grandfather has Parkinson's. It's a big part of my journey. And you got a nice little get to meet someone last night. Who did you get to meet last night?
I got to meet Michael J. Fox, which was really cool. So
wait, let me back up a second. So Justine's in from San Diego. She's from New Jersey. Lives in San Diego. She's in New York, and I'm like, Justine, there's the Team Fox dinner on Saturday night. We should go. She's like, oh, my family. I think we're supposed to have dinner with my family. I don't know if I'm going to go. I'm like, you should really go. It's a really nice dinner. You should really go. And so I persuaded her to go, and she got a nice little.
It was awesome. So my family all flew into town, and my brother and my mom live out here. So when you live in San Diego, I haven't seen them in 11 months. So I wanted to make sure I got to see my nephews and my new niece. But Jean convinced me to go to the Michael J. Fox Foundation dinner, which was awesome. And I think I took my boyfriend, but I also took my mom, my sister, and my brother, and we grew up with it. So for us, I think it was seeing him meant a lot to my mom and my brother and my sister, just because, he's always here, even though he's no longer with us. And, it was amazing to meet him, and just his personality, it's crazy. It's just like my dad's, and just ability to laugh. Michael's personality, his ability to laugh, and just make fun of it and just enjoy life.
Just to share with everyone out there, Michael J. Fox always comes to the team dinner the night before the race and says some words to inspire us. And he had heard about Justine, and he gave her a really nice. I think he's inspired by you, and he gave her a really nice call out. Justine got to meet Michael, and I think more than that, Michael got to meet you, and I think that the two of you, I was just watching, and I think the two of you meeting, I think, meant a lot to each other.
Yeah.
And I think that was a special moment for me to watch. And I'm really excited about today, too, because the New York City Marathon is such a unique event, and I've run it in a lot of different ways. For myself, with other people. And one of the things I like about it is sharing it with other people. And I get to share it with you and kind of experience it with you.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think is so cool is that everyone else is going to be facing one direction and looking at everybody's back.
Yeah.
And you're going to be facing the other direction, looking at everybody's faces.
Yeah.
And actually, you probably have the best view of the race because you get to look at my face the whole time.
Exactly.
But that is just incredible. Like, you're going to be seeing the race in such a unique way. And I feel very honored that I get to kind of share that with you. And even though I'm going to be facing forward so that you don't trip, I'm hopefully going to be able to see it through your eyes. And I just want to thank you for inviting me to be a part of this with you and giving me this honor and helping to share this story with me and the rest of our Charity Miles family out there. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us, or anything you'd like to say?
My first marathon was New York 15 years ago, and I don't know if I'll ever do this again backwards. If I ever do it again, I may just walk and run and just enjoy backwards, whatever. I feel honored to be starting my career in the city and ending my marathon career in the city. And I don't know if I ever not, but if I do, I am honored by the people who are motivated by me, because I'm motivated by so many other people. And I don't think I have anything wrong with me. I do this because I love to run. And all the people who get up in the morning and run are just awesome. So I'm honored that I can motivate a few people, but everyone motivates me to run every day. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And thanks to everybody else out there. I hope that you are as inspired by Justine as I am, and hopefully you'll get out there and put in some miles, walk or run along with us today, and just listen to the spirit. I don't know, hopefully the ambience is coming through this podcast to you. The center of the universe, Fort Wadsworth, Staten Island, New York City Marathon.
Go New York!
Every mile matters. Bye. Thanks, Justine.
Okay.
I think we should maybe get out of. Hi there, everybody. Gene here again. Thanks so much for tuning in and walking or running along with me and Justine. There's something that I noticed when listening to this interview that I didn't notice when recording it, and it was when Justine talked about how she's able to trick her brain when she runs backwards or when she runs upstairs, so that she's able to kind of get through this runner's dystonia that she has. And I just think that is such an incredible metaphor or lesson for all of us, that when we're facing a particular challenge or something that we can't seem to find our way through, maybe we can just approach it from a different angle, approach it backwards, and see if we can trick our brains into finding the solution. Again, big thanks to Justine for sharing this experience with me. It was really one of the most meaningful that I've ever had, running or otherwise, and I hope that all of you are as inspired by her as I am. If so, please share this podcast with someone who you think is special, someone who you think is going the extra mile. And be sure to tune in for our next episode, which is another interview that I recorded over the New York City Marathon weekend. During the New York City Marathon Expo, actually, with a woman that I met there, was introduced to her by Bart Yasso. And the New York City Marathon was her 195th marathon after surviving brain cancer. Truly incredible story. So be sure to tune in for that. And until then, every mile matters.